News at 6 begins outside the shores of Nigeria, where Hamas has said it is committed to implementing the Gaza ceasefire deal with Israel and will continue releasing hostages as scheduled, raising hopes that a resumption of the war can be averted. Following talks in Cairo, the Palestinian armed group said mediators from Egypt and Qatar had confirmed they would remove obstacles. On Tuesday, Israel said the ceasefire would end if Hamas did not return hostages by Saturday. Hamas had earlier said it was postponing releases over what it claimed were Israeli violations. Hamas said these included a failure to allow in the agreed amounts of vital humanitarian aid, including tents and shelters, which Israel denies. An Afghan asylum seeker drove at a group of people in Munich, injuring at least 28 people. Officers are treating the incident as a suspected attack. The suspect was known to police for theft and drug offences. Police say the car accelerated before hitting a trade union rally. An officer fired one shot at the suspect before he was arrested. The crash happened hours before the US Vice President and Ukrainian President were due to arrive in the city for the Munich Security Conference, but police say they do not believe the incident is related. Back home in Nigeria, the House of Representatives today passed a national budget of 54.9 trillion naira for the year 2025. The budget was passed following the presentation and submission of a report by the House Committee on Appropriations. VOP News gathered that out of the total budget, 3.6 trillion naira is allocated for statutory transfers, 14.3 trillion naira for debt servicing, 13.6 trillion for recurrent expenditures, and 23.9 trillion naira designated for capital expenditures. The approved budget is approximately 7 billion naira over the initial proposal of 49.7 trillion submitted to the lawmakers by President Tinubu in December 2024. You will recall that last week, President Tinubu increased the 2025 fiscal year budget, citing the ability of certain government agencies to generate higher revenues, and wrote to the Senate and House of Reps for their approval. Meanwhile, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar had cautioned that funds allocated to Nigeria's health sector in the 2025 budget must not suffer the same fate as past public funds allegedly swallowed by animals such as snakes, termites, gorillas, and monkeys. The federal government has earmarked $1.07 billion for the primary healthcare sector, in addition to 2.48 trillion naira initially proposed for healthcare in the 2025 budget. In a statement he personally signed, Atiku stressed that with dwindling national resources and the withdrawal of foreign support for key healthcare services, every kobo allocated to the health sector must be properly utilized. In a recent development, the Labour Party has declared that Peter Obi will remain its presidential candidate for the 2027 elections. According to Abayomi Arabambi, the party's national publicity secretary, the choice of Obi clearly indicates the party's seriousness in taking on the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Arabambi also criticized Kenneth Okonkwo's decision to leave the party, calling his exit a relief. He alleged that Okonkwo was working for President Tinubu and the APC and questioned his loyalty to the Labour Party. The Labour Party has also dismissed claims of a leadership crisis, with Arabambi stating that the party is united and focused on removing the current administration in 2027. Let's take a listen to him speaking about this.
There was never a time we collected any money, and that is why today I said we will see use Mr. Peter Obi in our president election to unseat the APC administration. That's number one. Number two, everybody knows the reason for the crisis Labour Party is because of an attempt by certain individual injured players from lesser team who came on loan into Labour Party. They hide their medical only for us to discover when they get to Labour Party that they are not qualified. In Nigeria today, all of you, Oshotoku came on your station to say that they were unable to pay Gen. That was not the business of Mr. Peter Obi. He has implicit confidence in them that they would do well, but we never knew some of them are injured players from where they were coming from. Oshotoku is a member of the Labour Party. He came on loan to Labour Party. We never knew he was an injured player, that he would not be able to do it best. But we are going to guide, we are going to guide against most of these anomalies. And that's why for us today, like the honorable, your guest that just left, they should not go and rest on their hours. We are coming strongly. There is no crisis of leadership in Labour Party. Labour Party is not going to extinction. It is just, figment imagination of most of these our detractors. And we wish Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo well. His resignation is actually a good riddance to bad rubbish.
In another development, the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu has strongly condemned the Canadian Embassy for denying visas to Nigeria's Chief of Defence Staff, CDS General Christopher Musa, and other senior military officers for an official engagement. Speaking in Abuja at the maiden annual lecture of the National Association of the Institute for Security Studies, the NSA declared, and I quote, "Canada can go to hell." General Musa had earlier expressed his disappointment over the incident, revealing that he and his team were invited to a Canadian event honoring war veterans but were denied visas. He said, and I quote, "We were invited with our team. Half has gone and half has been denied. It is very disappointing. This is a clear reminder that we must stand strong as a nation and should no longer be taken for granted." End quote. Reacting to the situation, NSA described the visa refusal as an act of disrespect and an insult to Nigeria. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) Disciplinary Committee has given clarification as to why some high-profile party members, including former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, were not summoned to appear before it. Chairman of the committee, Chief Tom Ikimi, revealed in a statement that the committee's mandate is limited to addressing petitions filed against party members rather than acting on allegations published in newspapers. He added that the committee's jurisdiction is restricted to petitions formally submitted to it. The clarification comes amid speculation that Wike and others might face disciplinary action for their alleged roles in the party's election loss in 2023. Wike was particularly criticized for leading a team of G5 governors to openly campaign against the party's 2023 presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. In a recent development, the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, LASTMA, has rescued 14 accident victims from a road crash at Ilaje, Inward Iyano Woroshoki along the 3rd Mainland Bridge. LASTMA General Manager, Mr. Olalekan Bakari Oki, confirmed this in a statement today. The statement was signed by the Director of Public Affairs and Enlightenment Department of LASTMA, Taufik Adebayo. He said the swift response of LASTMA demonstrated its unwavering commitment to public safety. The LASTMA boss said that upon successful evacuation, the rescued victims were promptly handed over to Lagos Ambulance Service personnel, who swiftly transported them to Bagada General Hospital for immediate medical attention. He underscored the need for both commercial and private motorists to comply with officially sanctioned speed limits to avert needless road fatalities. He also extended his deepest sympathies to the injured and wished them a swift and complete recovery. You are currently listening to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break, and when we return, we'll begin the news analysis segment. Do stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. You're still tuned into the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Now joining me for the news analysis segment, I have Mr. Peter Anosike. He's a veteran journalist as well as a political, social and national affairs analyst. Always a pleasure to have you here. Good evening.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. Let's begin with the visa denial to the CDS General Musa and some other military officials who wanted to travel to Canada on an official engagement. He said that they were actually invited, right? And if that is the case, were they not supposed to be granted these visas at the Canadian embassy? Are they just trying to embarrass the general?
Well, it is a very big embarrassment. And for them to do that, they have their reasons. Because the chief defense officer that's of a country as big as Nigeria is not a small boy. So maybe they have information that we ordinary Nigerians don't have. And for them to be able to do that, it must be something serious. So
you're saying they have their reasons for denying him the visa? Because he said some people who are supposed to attend that event, they've already gone.
Yes, so for them to say that General Musa will not go, maybe they have information that we ordinary Nigerians don't have.
What kind of information could that be?
I say they may know what we don't know. So for me, Ribadu, the national security officer, should be concerned with what caused this, instead of telling them that to go to hell.
Do you think his reaction is justified? That agitation, that saying "go to hell," it's like saying, "Who do you think you are? Is it because we want to come to your country?" But the truth is, these people actually went to the embassy. They tried to get that visa because they needed. They said the CDS said he was invited with his team. Wasn't that a reason for them to be given that visa? We're debating this on national radio because of the embarrassment to the Nigerian security forces.
So I say the position that Ribadu took wasn't a good one. Understand me? This is an issue that can cause diplomatic rancor between Nigeria and Canada, because this is a service chief.
But to whose detriment? Would it be to the detriment of Nigerians or to the detriment of Canada? Because would they even mind if we say, okay, we would have diplomatic issues with Canada because they denied our general a visa? Who will suffer it? Canada is one country that many Nigerians always travel to. With this Jackpot wave, Canada is one destination country for many people.
Canada is like... most Nigerians prefer going to Canada to United States because it's like a gold mine. Canada is a vast country, so there's employment. They are looking for people. So for now, it is a shame on Nigeria government that a service chief should be denied visa. So what Ribadu ought to have done is to kind of find out what is the cause of this. Why should this happen? Why should this happen? And it must be based on security reasons, because that's the number one reason of denying somebody a visa. Security reasons. And for somebody as big as that, it must be something serious.
You know, he's not the only one, right? So I don't want to take just him as an individual. He may be the most prominent name on the list of those who were denied that visa, but like he said, half has gone and half has been denied. Why is it that it was his own team, the one he followed to go and collect visa, that was denied?
So I say something must have caused it. Maybe there could be a development either in Canada or in Nigeria that must have made them to take that decision.
If that's the case and it's a security issue, why not actually make it open and let's know what is going on?
No, security issues is not discussed that's in the open. Security issues is not discussed in the open. This is something that the Nigerian government need to iron out with the Canadian government. Why should you deny our service chiefs, our senior military personnel visa? So it's not telling them to go to hell. Going to hell does not solve all the problems.
So apart from telling them to go to hell, you would expect him to actually follow up with the situation, ask questions, and see to a diplomatic resolution of this issue.
He has made that mistake because this information now must have gotten to the Canadian embassy. So if it's a problem that we have solved within 5 minutes, it will not take 5 hours. Because you didn't ask them what is your reason for denying this high-profile people visa.
All right, let's move on from this particular situation and talk briefly on the House of Reps passing the 2025 budget, 54.9 trillion naira budget. If you recall, that budget was not originally 54.9 trillion. It was about 49.7 trillion naira until President Tinubu said, okay, there are certain agencies within the federal government who are actually generating revenue. And from what they have generated, you can add it to the budget. And now it's been passed. What do you think or what do you say about this budget?
Well,
Atiku is more concerned about the health, the area of health, and he's more concerned about the federal government using any fund meant for Nigerians' health judiciously so that monkeys, termites, gorillas will not be swallowing money.
I share the same view with Atiku because the money meant for transfers is bigger than the one approved, budgeted for health. Understand me? 3 point something trillion is to be shared. Why 1 point something is meant for the health sector? And when you check, when you convert that money meant for the health sector, you know that it won't amount to anything. Understand? UCH Ribadu have been in darkness for almost 1 year now. Understand me?
UCH Ribadu.
Yes.
It's about 104 days or so.
Okay. And this is where they have people in ICU, intensive care units. Understand? People that are dying there, and this government is not doing anything serious about it. Imagine a college of health, understand, being in darkness, and this minister is telling us that Americans, Europeans are now coming on medical medicine to our country. So what the article said is the truth. The budget should be judiciously spent, not just on the health sector, but in all the various the department, ministries, and agencies.
But one could argue that health is actually a very vulnerable sector. About 2.48 trillion naira has been earmarked just for the health sector in the 2025 budget. Is that enough?
It's not enough. When you say that this is a budget of 40-something trillion, understand me?
Is now actually 54 trillion.
54 trillion, and you are just budgeting 2 points for health. It doesn't make sense, because health must come before wealth. Understand me? So this shows that in most budgets in the world, health and education take the bulk of the money, because these are the critical sectors, health and education. But if you check our Nigerian budget over the years, you see that these critical sectors are not given anything. And that's why we are not moving forward.
While we're talking about that, let's go into party politics, where the Labour Party has declared that Peter Obi remains the presidential candidate for 2027. I recall being on the recap with you, I think it was last week Saturday, where we were talking about this same issue. But then I think it was it Lamidi Apapa that actually said it that time, or this same Arabambi? But this is when he was on an interview about yesterday. He also talked about Kenneth Okonkwo leaving the Labour Party. There are certain people which he categorizes as deadweights, injured players who joined the Labour Party to actually impoverish it. And one question that the host asked him in that television interview yesterday was, how much were you and Apapa paid to destabilize the Labour Party? To which he responded that they were not paid anything to destabilize the Labour Party. What do you think of his endorsement of Obi for 2027?
Well, I say it's a satanic endorsement. It is a satanic endorsement, and you cannot impose a candidacy on an individual. Understand? P2B has not told Nigerians that he is running in 2027. He had not told the Nigerians that he is running. So you cannot just impose a candidacy on him. One, tickets are not reserved for anybody in an election. Ticket, that's why that word, primary. Understand? And that's why Kamala Harris, one of the reasons why she failed in America, because he was not elected in the primary by the people in her party. So it is the members of a political party that elects their presidential candidates, governors during primaries.
But you know that last year, Abure actually, before the whole debacle happened, he did give an automatic ticket to Obi, saying the doors are open for you if you want to contest on the platform of the Labour Party in 2027. So before he made a U-turn and withdrew that automatic ticket.
So Peter Obi has not told the Nigerians that he is contesting. And if Peter Obi has really accepted it from last Saturday up to today, if he didn't make a statement, his media aide will have made a statement. So since Peter Obi has kept mute, it means that it is inconsequential.
A lot of political permutations are going on ahead of 2027, and Atiku has been visiting a number of people. He visited Obasanjo, and certain people feel he also hosted Peter Obi, and certain people feel that low-key there might be some talks going on that we're not aware of, and when by the time 2027 rolls around, we will know what's the possibility that he will not contest.
I say he has not told anybody that he is contesting. P2B has not told anybody that he will contest in 2027. So, but Arabambi Apapa, who are the agents of APC in LP, wants P2B to take that ticket so that they will go again. And not just to push out APC. It must be for the good of the country, and for that to be possible, they have to put their individual ambitions aside.
Arabambi is actually accusing Kenneth Okonkwo, who recently left the Labour Party, is accusing him of being an agent of the APC, who's working for President Tinubu and trying to destabilize the party.
Well, in 2019, Kenneth Okonkwo worked for Buhari. Understand? In 2019, Kenneth Okonkwo worked for Buhari. He said a lot of bad things about Igbo people. So it was surprising to me seeing him now coming to work for P2B. Understand? And right now, watch it before end of March. Kenneth Okonkwo will be in APC.
Returning to the same party he left.
Before the end of March, Kenneth Okonkwo will be in APC. So there are fair weather friends in politics, like Daniel Bawanda and others.
Just like Daniel Bola and others, you were expecting Kenneth Okonkwo to actually change before 2027.
He has been changing. I said 2019, he worked for Buhari. Understand me? He worked for Buhari, said a lot of bad things against P2B and Atiku in 2019. Understand me? So 2023, 2022, he joined the LP. Understand? So I don't know whether he was there as a paid agent or he was convinced in P2B's that's ambition. So I cannot really say.
All right, let's move on and talk about another issue. PDP revealing why Wike was not summoned to appear before the disciplinary committee, when the PDP said that it is ready to actually go after everyone who was involved in anti-party activities in Rivers State before the 2023 elections, before, during, and after the 2023 elections. A number of people actually believe that Wike will be one of them. But what the chairman of the disciplinary committee is saying is that, well, they can only address petitions that were filed against party members. They cannot act on allegations published in newspapers. Is the PDP actually ready to move forward if they cannot remove from their ranks those who seem to be working for other parties?
Well, so for me, if there's no real petition against Wike, then it's very, very unfortunate. It means that PDP, as a party, their members are not serious. Because the number one person that should not even be suspended but expelled from the party is Nyesom Wike. In 2023, Nyesom Wike did the great
of the APC, and that's wait. If of the APC, and that's wait. If you are saying that is the reason why the PDP needs to kick him out, would it have been better if he had? You are saying that is the reason why the PDP needs to kick him out. Would it have been better if he had rigged it in favor of the PDP?
He doesn't need to. The people's will must count. Understand me? The vote of the people must count. Understand? So you only rig where you feel that you are unpopular. Understand me? You only rig where you feel that you are unpopular. So if Wike has really worked in Rivers State, he don't need to rig any election. But he knew that he's working for an unpopular candidate. That's what he has to rig. Wike, Rivers State would have voted for Wike's party without any force, any inducement, if Wike has really done well.
All right, then. But in all of this right now, if the PDP insists that there is no petition against Wike, does that mean that up till 2027 and beyond, Wike remains a member of the PDP and nothing can change?
Then Wike, then PDP will die before 2027.
Before 2027. So what platform is Atiku now going to contest?
We had the AMPP, we had CPC, we have ACN. Understand? Tinubu did not contest under ACN. Buhari did not contest under CPC. Understand? If a coalition comes up, they can go with with any name.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Anaske. We need to go. Our time is fast spent. Thank you for joining me on the World News at 6. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
You have been listening to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that the House of Reps has passed the 54.9 trillion naira 2025 budget. Labour Party declares Peter Obi remains presidential